Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In the last video of this chapter, we had talked about issues that the interim government at the time of independence was facing regarding the issue of partition and the integration of princely states. In this video, I have divided this video into two parts. Okay. In the very first part, we will understand what reorganization of states was about, what it meant, and how these states were reorganized after India became independent. Okay. In the second part, we would talk about the source boxes that are given with rest of the content within that chapter in your textbooks. So we would try to decode those as well, because then only we would be able to assure ourselves that yes, we are completely prepared for whatever kind of questions CBSE throws at us during the exams. All right. With that said, let's begin with our video. So during the time of British, there were different provinces and different princely states, right? So now they have to create states by demarcating, by redrawing the internal boundaries of India. Okay. And earlier during the British times, the state boundaries that they called provinces, they were based on what? Administrative convenience rather than linguistic or cultural identities. But right now, when we are involving a lot of princely states into India by telling them that we will actually protect your demands and your rights and your interests, so we didn't had an option to ignore their linguistic or cultural identities. We would have to redraw our boundaries, taking in account these things, linguistic and cultural identities. So as I had told you that Hyderabad, it consisted of Maharashtra, Telangana, so the people living in Maharashtrian region, they would be speaking Marathi. The people living in Andhra or Telangana region, they would be speaking Telugu, right? So that is how Hyderabad used to exist as a princely state during British rule. But now we needed to make boundaries of these states, demarcate new areas so that people know that okay, this state belongs to me, the Indian government is actually listening to me. So the Indian National Congress had supported this linguistic reorganization since the Nagpur session. So in several meetings of the Congress, one meeting was held in Nagpur in 1920. So they had decided that once the nation gets independent, we will have a linguistic reorganization, we will have a linguistic redrawing of boundaries. Okay. And they tried to enact that, they tried to implement it by reorganizing their own provincial congress committees, meaning even if officially in British records Hyderabad consists of present day Maharashtra, Andhra and Telangana, still in congress record, people from Telangana region, they would have a different congress team. People from Maharashtra region of Hyderabad, they will have a different congress committee. Okay. This is how they had reorganized it within Congress party. But after independence, the national leaders had to postpone this reorganization, because in 1920 they didn't know that partition would take place. But now at the time of independence, things had become hard for them. So they thought that if they are going to again reorganize and draw boundaries based on linguistic lines, then again it would be a national unity threat. Why? Because again people will start demanding that okay, if I am from Telangana, then I need some special privileges than people who are from Maharashtra, or that I would threaten the Indian government by saying that if you do not give me this special treatment, then I would not remain a part of India. So in that way, it will impact India's national unity, right? So that is why instead of doing what they had decided during the Nagpur session, they had to postpone this decision, and instead they focused on improving the socio-economic situations of the people in India. Okay. But the people who were living in India in these different states without the reorganization, they felt that the government is ignoring them. Okay. So the anger towards government regarding this issue started with something that we call Vishal Andhra movement. Okay. In the Telugu speaking areas of the Madras province, okay, people demanded a separate Andhra state. and they called this movement Vishal Andhra movement to demand a separate Andhra state. They said that we do not want to be a part of Madras province anymore. We want a different Andhra Pradesh for us. Fine. So this movement, it received support from all political parties that were present in Andhra region. Okay. And there was one person, he was a Congress leader, local Congress leader of Andhra region. His name was Poti Sriram Mullu. Okay. So he was a follower of Gandhi and a Congress leader. He, in order to protest against why the government is not actually working on the reorganization of states, he went on a fast. Okay, he took a 56 days fast. Okay, it's called an indefinite fast, meaning unless his demand would be accepted by the government, he will not break his fast. That's what it means. So because he did not break his fast and the government didn't attended to their demands, so you know what happened? He died. Yeah. So then once he died, people were so angry that they started protesting, and in order to calm down those protests, the police, it started firing, which again led to what? Injuries and deaths, because this is the only thing that we can expect out of conditions like these. And when all of this chaos was unfolding in Andhra Pradesh, the various legislators, for example the people who are in the government, like the state government of Madras province, who were active in the Andhra region of Madras province, they had started leaving their positions. Like the present day MLAs, they were called legislators at that time. So they had started resigning from their seat. So seeing all of this chaos, in December 1952, the Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru announced that Andhra Pradesh would be a separate state from now on. Okay, but once Andhra Pradesh became a separate state, similar demands also started from other people. So in 1953, the government, it appointed a commission. It was called the States Reorganization Commission to examine the issue. So this commission, which was appointed in 1953, it recommended that state boundaries should largely reflect linguistic identities. For example, if most people living in a particular region are speaking Tamil, then that area should become a different state. And if people in an area are speaking Kannada mostly, then that should also become a separate state. It shouldn't be that mostly Andhra and Kannada speakers are mostly living together. Okay, meaning they were not against people mingling, but they said that it should reflect their linguistic identities, meaning that we are able to know that yes, they belong to this state. It cannot be that people who are living in a area where mostly Telugu is spoken and people who are living in an area that where Tamil is mostly spoken, those two areas cannot become one state. That's what it meant. Okay, so the commission, it examined the issue and it presented some recommendations. Based on that recommendations, the government did what? It started a States Reorganization Act in 1956. So it took 3 years for them to examine the issue and then come up with their recommendation. So because of this act, 14 states and 6 union territories were created in India. Earlier, they were fearing that if they will reorganize the states based on linguistic identities, then again it might lead to further division in the country. But actually, it strengthened national unity because the people felt that their demands are actually being attended to, listened by the political leaders. So that actually deepened the democratic participation that the leaders were trying to create, as we had seen in the two goals. One of that goal was to run the government democratically. And now, when you are listening to the people, of course, you are running the government democratically. And people are also responding to you well when you listen to them, right? Then let's move on to the source boxes, as I told you. So, once the place in your NCERT where the reorganization of states thing ends, there's a small source box which talks about the creation of new states. Okay, so till 1956, when the States Reorganization Act was passed, we saw that 14 states and 6 union territories were created. But the process of reorganization did not stop there. It still continued to 2014. Okay, so let's now see why these new states were created later on and on what basis were they created, because till 1956 the states were created on linguistic lines, right? So in 1960, the bilingual Bombay state, the Bombay province, it got turned into Bombay state after independence, and later in 1960 it was divided into two states. One was a Marathi speaking state called Maharashtra, and another was Gujarati speaking state Gujarat. Okay. Then in 1963, 3 years after, Nagaland was carved out of Assam and it was given statehood. Then 3 years later again, Haryana was carved out of Punjab. So I told you that a bigger portion of Punjab went with Pakistan, and then the Punjab that was left with India, it was again also bifurcated, and Haryana became another state out of Punjab. In the same year, the hilly areas of Punjab, they were merged with the Union Territory of Himachal Pradesh. So earlier, Himachal Pradesh was a Union Territory. Okay, so the parts of Punjab that were hilly in geography, they were merged with Himachal Pradesh, and Himachal Pradesh only could become a state in 1971. Okay, so until then, it was a Union Territory. Then in 1972, Meghalaya was carved out of Assam because Assam was a really big state. Okay, so it will somewhere become hard, for different people living in one state to be governed by one government. Firstly, the area is huge, and second, there is a diversity of population. If you will make someone a leader of a particular region who knows that region well, then you can ensure that this area would be governed well, right? So if there's so much diversity of people in Assam, let's say, then one person cannot fulfill the desire of different people living in Assam state. That is why they were making Nagaland and Meghalaya out of Assam. Okay. And in the same year, Manipur and Tripura, they existed as union territories before. And then they also became states with Meghalaya. Okay. Then in 1987, two more states of Northeast, Mizoram and Arunachal Pradesh, they also became states after being union territories for a while. So they can ask you a question, which northeastern states were union territories before, okay? And you can give your answer by saying that Manipur, Tripura, Mizoram and Arunachal Pradesh were union territories before, and then they were converted into states, okay? So these are the kind of questions that you can expect from CBSE in your exams. But if you skip these source boxes, you might miss out on the answers for these questions. Then in 2000, after a long gap, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and Uttarakhand were created from Madhya Pradesh, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. So Chhattisgarh was created out of Madhya Pradesh, okay? Jharkhand was created out of Bihar, and Uttarakhand was created out of Uttar Pradesh. So before Uttarakhand was created, only Himachal Pradesh used to exist as a state, which was hilly. You know, in if you'll go to Kashmir, then you will get mountains, but hilly regions are Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. So do not get confused. Fine. And why were these states bifurcated further to make these three states? It was because, firstly, the regional identity. People who might be living in the areas of Chhattisgarh might have a different identity from people in Madhya Pradesh. It could be that Bihar, being a very big state, it might have caused problem regarding some areas being left out in terms of development. So if you form another state, then that state government will take care of development in that particular state. That is why Jharkhand was created. Okay. And Uttarakhand was mostly created because of the geography. Then the latest development in 2014, Telangana was made out of Andhra Pradesh and it became India's 29th state. Now, there is one thing that I haven't mentioned in the slides, but I would like you to know. So, the demand for creation of new states, they just didn't end till Telangana in 2014. Right now also some areas in India within some states are demanding statehood. Okay, so there is one area which lies on the western side of Uttar Pradesh, and that area demands a new state which could be called as Harit Pradesh. Okay, then another area which is in Maharashtra, that area is called Vidarbh it is. So that also wants to become a separate state of its own. Then again in the northern part of West Bengal, there is demand for another state. So these are still demands. The government is not really in a mood to make them states, but yes, these problems will exist because we can, bifurcate states based on administrative convenience. We can do it mostly based on developmental imbalance, but we cannot always listen to the regional identities, because then everybody would want a different state for themselves, isn't it? So once partition was announced, there was mass violence. Okay, so partition came with independence, as we know. But Mahatma Gandhi, the person who had led the country in the nationalist struggle against the British, he was the person who could not participate in the Independence Day celebrations. Why? Because he was busy in trying to control the communal violence that was happening in Kolkata. Okay, he was trying to bring some harmony there. Then, during this time, when he was trying to appeal people to give up violence, he appealed to both Hindus and Muslims to give up violence and accept the principles of ahimsa. Okay, that they shouldn't hurt each other or anyone. And once he could calm down, and once he could calm down the violence that was taking place in Kolkata, he had come to Delhi in order to spread that harmony as well. And during all of this time, let's just look at what kind of thought, what kind of belief Gandhi had towards the minorities, that is, Muslims living in India. So, as I told you, the Congress believed in the idea of protection of minorities and that India would remain a secular country. So, for that, Gandhi also said that we need to protect the Muslims that are in India and we would treat them as equal citizens only. Then, as you know, that Gandhi was not directly a part of the interim government. It was headed by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and people like Jawaharlal Nehru, not Gandhi, because he did not held any position. So he could just urge the government, interim government, to give the financial um, money that was supposed to be given to Pakistan, because during partition, when the government employees, when the railways are being divided, then the money would also be divided, right? So Gandhi had said that okay, if they want to have a separate nation, we wouldn't be unfair to them. We would give them whatever it was decided would be given. Okay. So because he was a principled man, he did advocated for this thing as well. Because he was an idealist. I do understand that many of you might not agree with Gandhi, and that is okay. I would actually encourage individual thought. Okay. But like I do think that we sometimes underestimate people who are idealists. So Gandhi's views, because he was an idealist, his views were opposed by both people who were on the extreme ends of the ideology. So the people who wanted a Hindu nation, they were against Gandhi. The people who wanted Pakistan, they were also against Gandhi, because Gandhi needed what? He didn't wanted partition, but still partition took place. And when it happened and communal violence was going on, he was trying his best to calm all of it down. But still, both people on the extreme end, they did not like Gandhi, and that is why on 30th January 1948, when he was in a public meeting, he was assassinated by whom? Nathuram Godse, as you know. Then in your chapter, there were several letters or several beliefs by these prominent leaders that was given in the side, the edge of the pages. Okay, so I have pasted them, and let's now uncover what was their perspective or what were their letters about. So we'll start with Gandhi again. Gandhi, as you can see in this picture, he believed that independence is going to be both a moment for celebration and for mourning for us. Mourning means sadness, all right? It's not mourning, it's mourning, right? So, here, why did he say that? Because independence didn't came without partition. Okay, and then when India did achieve the freedom, as I told you, partition brought violence, displacement meaning people losing their homes and suffering in whole. So he said that freedom was not enough alone. We also need to preserve communal harmony, meaning harmony between people of different religions. Otherwise, there is no use of this freedom that we have attained from the British. We are still, in shackles of hatred. Then, when we were talking about the reorganization of state, again, Gandhi's opinion is being placed here in another source box. So, Gandhi had supported formation of linguistic provinces, and he said that it would be weird for us to adopt Hindustani as our national language, okay, and it would be worse for us if we accept English as our national language. That is the reason why even now we do not have a national language. We have two official languages, that is Hindi and English, and there are several recognized languages, regional languages across India, right? So Gandhi said that it is necessary to reorganize states based on their linguistic lines and also promote regional languages so that people do not lose onto their identity. Okay, because even if you were to use Hindustani language, you have to impose Hindustani language on all the people despite the region that they live in, then wouldn't it be that they will be losing their identity that is related to their own language, right? Then Sardar Patel, he was the person who had a big role in making India united, as we saw in the integration of princely states, right? So he had written a letter to the princely rulers asking them to cooperate in building a united India. He said that lack of unity would bring chaos and anarchy to everyone. So if they are just thinking that as a small princely state they will be able to make a independent nation, they are maybe in the wrong. That might not happen. Some bigger country might attack them and then forcefully take their area. So it is better for them to just willingly join India. India would be able to protect them. This was the kind of negotiation that he was having, which was very practical as well. And this is the reason why he emphasized that we should not focus on our individual interests. We should focus on the national interest so that together we are able to fulfill all of our aspirations. And that is what had happened once these princely states decided to join India, right? Then there is also a perspective of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and the person who had the major role in the partition of the country. So he said, like, if you will read him, you will find what he was saying was quite contradictory to what was actually happening. So he is acting as a very, enlightened person who is very freedom oriented, who is very liberal. But just look at what he said and what had happened during that time. So he said that citizens living in the area of Pakistan would be free to enjoy the freedom to practice their religion. Okay, so even if you are a Hindu, Sikh, Jain, it doesn't matter to Mr. Jinnah. You can practice your religion. Mr. Jinnah will allow you the freedom to do that. And also religion, caste or creed, these things would not influence the functioning of the country. So state here means the country or the nation. Then he said that we will give everybody equal citizenship regardless of their religious identity. Whether they are a Hindu, whether they are a Muslim, everybody would be equal in the eyes of the government. And then communal divisions will gradually disappear. So even if there is tension between different religious groups, this tension, this division will disappear with time. That is what he thought. He said that you are free to go to your temples and you are free to go to your mosques in the state of Pakistan. But you know what? Because India is secular, we just say state of India or Indian state, okay? But when it comes to Pakistan, Pakistan is referred to as the Islamic state of Pakistan. So now you can see the contradiction, the hypocrisy. What is Mr. Jinnah even talking about? Then let's see what Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, our first Prime Minister, had to say. He said that Muslim minority in India, they deserve security. The government will try to protect them from any kind of attacks because they are less in number in comparison to the non-Muslim population in India, right? And we will give them equal citizenship. And if you'll see the comparison between Jinnah and Nehru, that has actually happened in India. Both Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, everybody is equal, right? And then Mr. Nehru went on to say that religious identity, whether you are a Hindu or Muslim, that would not determine what kind of rights you will have. That's again true. And he also presented a practical statement. He said that even if the Muslims living in India, they get influenced by Muslim League and they want to join Pakistan, they cannot do that because the Indian Muslim population is very big, that Pakistan cannot accommodate it because the area of Pakistan is small, right? So even if you want or you don't want to, you are citizens of India, we will treat you well and you have responsibilities towards India. This was also a way to, calm down the demand for a separate Hindu state, by the RSS and the Hindu Mahasabha. In the consequences, we had talked about how the psychological and cultural impact was created by partition as a event. So let's see what the different authors were saying regarding what had happened in partition. So first author that we have here is Saadat Hasan Manto. So there is an excerpt that is given in your chapter. Excerpt is a small portion of a big, essay or a story. So, in that excerpt, ironically, Sadat Hasan Manto is saying that the rioters, the people who were conducting the riots, they brought a running train to a halt, meaning they stopped the train, and the people who belong to the other community, they were killed, okay, and the remaining people who belong to the same community as the rioters, they were treated with fruits and milk. So he is talking about the irony that, it is very absurd, it is very brutal for people to treat other people who do not belong to the same religion as them this way. Next, we have Amrita Preetham. So she had written a poem, okay, she was a Punjabi poet. She had written a poem called Today I Call Waris Shah. If we translate it into Hindi, then it would become Aaj Akkha Waris Shah Nu, okay. So, through an imaginary character called Varis Shah, Amrita Preetham tries to convey what kind of tragedy partition brought in the area of Punjab. Okay, so she says that I am trying to awake Varis Shah from his grave to see what all blunders, what all kind of bloodshed has happened in the Punjab that he had left. Because Varis Shah is a dead person who is being asked to wake up from his sleep, right? In order to see what has become of Punjab, what he had left Punjab with, a beautiful Punjab, and see what the kind of condition Punjab has got itself into now. Okay. Then we have Faiz Ahmed Faiz. So after partition, he had became a part of Pakistan only, but he was a very fearless person. Okay, so he used to speak against the government, the brutal government of Pakistan, and he was also against partition. So he had written a poem called "The Dawn of Freedom," that is Subh-e-Azadi, which is its Urdu translation. So he portrays independence as a scarred dawn. Dawn means morning. Okay. So he suggests that even though India and Pakistan have attained freedom, that independence had a cost, and that cost was paid by millions of families who had suffered through this entire process. So on surface you have got the independence, but what about the pain that these families have been through? Okay, so the very reason why I'm covering them in the source boxes is because you might get a question in your exam asking what kind of emotions are these poets talking about in relation to partition. What themes are they talking about? So you can tell them that the theme of uh, independence not being enough, the people bearing the cost, people going through loss of family, loss of home, those things, right? Then we come on to the last part of today's video, and that is this cartoon. As you can see in this cartoon, there is a king, there are the people, okay, as you can see in the boards, and then there is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel who is approaching them. So this cartoon is trying to depict and show how Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel had approached these princely state rulers and convinced them to join India. So Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is saying that, okay, you give your external affairs, defense and communication issues and that power to us, we will manage that for you, and you enjoy the privileges like privy purse and your internal autonomy. So in this way, he was convincing by showing them that your interests would also be fulfilled by the Indian government. So you do not have to feel that you will be ignored by us. So this compromise and negotiation is something that led to the integration of our country. With that said, we come to the end of the video. I hope I was able to help you understand these topics with much clarity. And if you have any feedback for me regarding how I am teaching, if there are any improvements that you would like to see in my slides and in my presentation, then you can tell me. And if you have any questions regarding what I was telling you, then please don't hesitate to drop them in the comment section. Have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video.